You weren't there because you took your keys. And you know what is funny about all of this? That you know the law so well when you think it's in your favor, but you don't know the law when it's going to go the opposite direction.
We are about to watch a parole revocation hearing, and the three women on the board, they don't mess around. We'll unpack it with the details at the end.
All right, good morning. So you're ready to proceed with the revocation proceeding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to read the allegations against you, after which you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Then we'll have a discussion about your plea. So you're accused of violating your parole conditions, specifically number 3, and it states on or about January 27, 2024, you absconded supervision in that you moved without permission from your approved residence. The whereabouts were unknown until you were located on January 30th, 2024, residing at 33 Holly Crest Drive in Covington. How do you plead to violating condition number 3?
I plead not guilty.
Okay, we'll talk about it in a minute. So not guilty. You're going to make a statement?
Uh,
Well, not yet. I'm
Yeah, I'll
asking.
wait.
So your option is guilty with a statement, not guilty with a statement, or not guilty, not guilty with a statement.
I'll just plead not guilty and I'll wait till we discuss it.
Okay. Then there's condition number 4, and it states on or about January 26, 2024, you engaged in criminal activity associated with people known to be engaged in criminal activity and failed to refrain from the illegal use of drugs or alcohol, as evidenced by your admission on January 26, 2024, to obtaining and ingesting methamphetamines and marijuana. The ingested illegal narcotics caused you to overdose on the morning of January 26, 2024, and were found unresponsive on the floor of your bedroom by your roommate. You had to be given CPR and then administered 2 milligrams of Narcan by Medical 31 of the St. Tammany Fire Protection District 3 EMS to be revived. How do you plead to violating condition number 4?
I plead guilty to that.
Okay. Then there is condition number 7. You failed to truthfully and promptly answer all questions directed to you by your parole officer on January 30th, 2024, after being located residing at the 33 Holly Crest Drive, Covington, Louisiana. You were asked where you were staying from January 26th until January 30th, 24. You stated you had been staying at your approved address, 60440 Highway 434 in Lacombe, which was verified to be a lie by both your roommate and your landlord. You further stated that your roommate let you into the residence after returning from the hospital, but was discovered you climbed into the residence via an open window. So how do you plead to violating condition number 7?
I'm not guilty.
Okay, not guilty. Condition number 9. By absconding good time supervision, you failed to allow the agent from the Covington District of the Probation and Parole Office to visit you at your residence or place of employment at any time. How do you plead to violating number 9?
I'm not guilty.
Last is condition number 10. You have failed to make any payments to your supervision fees and are currently $126 in arrears on said fees. How do you plead to violating number 10?
I'm not guilty of that either, ma'am.
Okay. Also joining us is your parole officer, Mr. Steve Early. We're going to call on him for his comments once we complete our interview with you. Your case has been assigned to Mrs. Stapleton. Would you answer questions?
Good morning, Mr. Drawdy.
Ma'am.
We're here about your revocation. You said on the first one that you were not guilty with a statement that your whereabouts were known for those 3 days that your parole officer. Can you explain that?
Okay, man. This like right here in number 4, it states on the 26th is whenever everything took place.
Yep.
So in number 3, it says on or about the 27th, I was scouted. The 27th was a Saturday. I have 3 business days to notify any change of residence, which I did on that Monday. Everything happened on a Friday. So they're saying that they didn't know where I was at over the weekend. Well, there's no way for me to the probation and parole office is closed on the weekend. I don't have any, and during this time I had a change of probation and parole officers. So I didn't, at the time, I didn't have Steve's number to be able to call him, but on that Monday I did call to notify of a change of address, like I was supposed to. And I'm supposed to be allotted 3 business days, which, let's see, Monday would be the first business day. That would be the 29th, and then on the 30th, they was arresting me on the second business day. So I was never given a full 3 business days to notify anybody of my change of address. I was arrested on a Tuesday. I was supposed to be given Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I did. I called and notified on that Monday.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, and I see what the officer wrote, and he's gonna respond to that directly, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
He'll be able to do that better than I can. But then we have the 26th, we come to the 26th. And that's where you were, and you pled guilty to criminal activity. You bought drugs, you overdosed on drugs, and you were unresponsive, and CPR was having to give it to you.
Yes, ma'am.
So that was a violation.
Yes, ma'am. I am guilty of that. I was struck. I had relapsed. But I don't see why I wasn't given a chance to go to rehab or get some kind of help.
Well,
Instead,
but you're not supposed to engage in illegal activity. I mean, it's grace that you're on that you're on probation. And while you're on probation, you know about the rules and you're supposed to follow them. So it's not that it's okay, now let's go do this for you. It's that you're not supposed to do it to begin with. So
I was doing fine. I did have a relapse, ma'am. It's not like I wouldn't have accepted help if it would have been offered to me.
well, hopefully that help's gonna come to you
Yes,
in
ma'am.
another setting. Okay, so it was your roommate that said that you actually weren't at the residence where you said you were. Your roommate said no, that was a lie. You weren't there. And that's condition number 7. So you weren't truthful. Is that a lie? Was your roommate lying on you?
Yes, ma'am. That is a lie. My roommate just going along with whatever my landlord told him to do. I was in and out of the house all weekend. My landlord, after I overdosed on the fentanyl, before I went to the hospital, my landlord took my keys. I was never served an eviction notice. I was still on the lease. I was in and out of the house all weekend. I was back and forth between there and my friend Steve's house. My roommate was giving me problems getting in the residence because he said that he was instructed by my landlord. But according to Louisiana law, state law says that I'm actually, if I'm not served an eviction notice, I'm still technically living at the residence, but I was having issues getting in and out because I don't have a key. He was having to let me in and out. So I just thought it would have been better for things before, to blow over. I was going to stay with a friend over the
So you
weekend.
really weren't there.
Huh?
You weren't there because you took your keys. And you know what is funny about all of this? That you know the law so well when you think it's in your favor, but you don't know the law when it's going to go the opposite direction.
Ma'am, I'm not trying to twist the law. I was in and out of the house all weekend. They're trying to make an example out of me because they had fentanyl overdoses and deaths at my landlord's residence prior. They made a statement the week prior that they was going to make an example out of somebody.
Okay.
I'm not trying to, I admitted to what I actually did.
Okay, let me ask you this one. Okay, so number 9 and number 10, that it says that they are supposed to be allowed to visit your resident and place of employment at any time. That's on the rules. So they can't do it if you're not really there or you're in and out, like you say, and you have no key to your place.
That was over the weekend.
Okay, all right. So you're gonna get to talk. Your officer's gonna talk. And how about you failed to make payments for your
I got out around the holidays.
Mhm.
Everywhere I went to apply for jobs, I was told that nobody was hiring until around the first of the year. Then I finally found a job at 5 Minute Oil Change in Covington around December.
Mhm.
All this happened in January. So I never got a full paycheck until the 26th, that Friday, when all this happens, when I finally got my first paycheck from 5 Change. They let me go because of an extensive background check, and I had to haggle with them to finally get my paycheck. So thanks to Catholic Charities, they were paying my rent, and they were also helping me with my registration fees. But as far as being able to pay my parole fees, I had no money. I was able to get money every now and again from doing some work for my friend's mom, like yard work, but it wasn't enough to pay any fees. It wasn't enough to do anything with. So it's not like, I mean, I wasn't planning on paying my fee. I literally just got my paycheck on the 26th, which I still have in my bank account.
Number 10, let me interrupt for just a second here. On number 10, Specialist Everly makes an excellent point. You didn't have the money for $126 in arrears, but you had money to buy the overdose narcotics.
I do have, I still have that paycheck right now.
Free. They gave you the narcotics for free, or did you have to buy them?
I didn't buy those.
Okay, you got those for free. All right, well, I'm finished with my questions. Any questions?
All right, Mr. Early, we'd like to hear from you, sir. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
If you look at the back of your the packet, there's a letter from Nicholas Transient, the one that revived him that morning, gave him CPR. He found the subject, Mr. Drawdy, at about roughly 9 o'clock. He found him unresponsive in his room, throwing up. He gave him CPR. They called 911. They showed up. Mr. Drawdy was very upset because the police had been called. He refused to go to the hospital. I was in court at that morning. I went out to the house right after court, and I told him, you either go to the treatment or, sorry. I said, you either go to the hospital and get treatment, or you're going to go to jail. He elected to go to that Friday afternoon. He went to the Slidell Memorial Hospital. After they came out, they had to give him 2 doses of Narcan that morning. It was methamphetamine laced with fentanyl, we do believe. I followed the ambulance, the med ambulance, to the Slidell Memorial. We got him in there that night. He broke back into the house. A black male brought him out to the house. This is people talking at the house. Brought him back to the house. When I saw him that day, he voluntarily gave his keys up to the landlord. We were talking. He was still throwing up to black mucus while we're trying to do a drug screen on him. He admitted to using methamphetamine with fentanyl. We followed the ambulance, and then that night he disappeared. I was calling every day trying to find out if he was back. He never came back. He did come back. He climbed in Nicholas Transient's window, and he knocked some stuff off the window and marked the wall up when he got back in. So that's why he didn't have keys. He gave them to the landlord willingly.
Why would I give my keys away willingly?
No, Mr. Drawdy, this is Mr. Early's time to speak.
That's fine.
Anyway, we didn't know where he's at. I got a phone call. I said, is he back? I didn't know where he was at. I got a call from the sex offender registry in St. Tammany Parish that said he's at 33. Right then he was at 33. We went there, we found him there, we arrested him, put him in jail. He was very angry when we arrested him. He said he had 3 days, not with probation and parole. You have to tell me where you go, when you go. So we found him at that residence. That was Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night. So Tuesday was 5 days. So for 96 hours, he was missing. I was calling hourly, daily, trying to find out where he was at. I was looking through his phone when we found him that afternoon on the 26th. He was very angry. He was cursing at Nicholas for calling police to come out to the residence. He was unresponsive. I told him, I said that you're lucky you're alive. Had he not done that and called 911, you'd be dead. We found him residing in a different residence where he shouldn't have been. Then he hasn't paid fees. I don't know what more to say.
I think that's plenty. We appreciate your, thank you so much. Mr. Drawdy, before we vote, is there a brief statement you'd like to make?
Yes, ma'am. Regardless of how I feel or how my parole officer had felt or how it's basically what this boils down to. It's basically his word against mine. What we need to look at is the facts.
And
Okay.
that's what we do, sir. We have all kind of documentation and facts in our record that we have.
This Nicholas Trahan, where he's not even here anymore, because while I was locked up, this guy tries to.
That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. We have the reports from medical people who gave you attention, who gave you medical assistance. We have
That's
all those
fine.
reports,
I
sir.
admit that's
Okay.
fine. But
No,
what does it have to
that's
do
the
with
issue.
my revocation?
We are prepared to vote. Mrs. Stapleton.
Sir, I revoke you on rule violations 3, 4, 7, 9, and 10.
Mrs. Ledoux.
Based on the preponderance of evidence, my vote is to revoke your parole. Sir, you're a third felony offender and you know the rules.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Drawdy, you pled guilty to violating condition number 4 based on the information contained in the record, the evidence presented by Mr. Early. I also find you guilty of conditions 3, 7, 9, and 10. So based on your guilty plea and the evidence in the record, I also vote to revoke your parole. Good luck to you, sir. Today your parole's been revoked. Thank you, Mr. Early, for spending some time with us this morning. We do appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
That concludes business at St. Tammany. We're going to sign off at 9:30.
I can get used to this board. I really can. There's something really awesome about this 3-panel woman board with their Louisiana accents, but they're not messing around. I mean, it's just great to see them lay the hammer. And I have a special appreciation for it now after watching revocation hearings in these other states where they don't lay down the hammer, where they don't lay down the facts. You have the parole officer here show up. We've seen him a few times. I mean, look at he's clear. He needs to be in prison. Forget just breaking the violations. I mean, he's gonna end up 6 feet under. You know, with what's out there and what he's doing. They have to put 2 Narcans on him, and it's like he's sitting here. They violated. Because I had 3 days, so technically, legally, I can't. He's trying to be an attorney. It's like the classic redundant situation that you see with people in these situations. And then let's recall that he is a roach. He's on the registry. What he initially did was carnal knowledge of a juvenile. And that was in 2013. Of course, he only served 5 years for that, but I think that's his underlining offense. Richard also shared information where he has records for all different types of things: contempt of court, failure to appear, fraud to obtain accommodation. I don't know. There's things that go on for year after year after year. And here's the scariest part about him. Remember, he's committed carnal knowledge of a juvenile. His alias, they list like their alias names on these registries, and his alias is Harry Potter. If that's not creepy. Yeah. So I don't know how much what his full time is, how much time he's backing, but he is revoked, and again, I don't know his full time. They just didn't get into that. We don't have those records here, but man, it's just he was going to get revoked the second he came in. So it was more kind of just it's like cats toying with their prey before they finish him off. He he had no chance. So it was great to watch him squirm. You know, it's, can you imagine you go in there, you save a man's life, and then he gets all pissy about it. You know, this fentanyl stuff, you can't mess around, and mixing it with meth. And it seemed that he was aware that it was mixed, from what I heard his parole officer say, because he said that he told his parole officer what he was taking. But who knows? Anyways, we can move to the next.
Ma'am,
Were you intoxicated?
no, ma'am. I was fishing. I don't. Who said I was Who said that I was intoxicated? I went to my mom's and I called Bridget and the officer answered, and that was not even in the report.
Yeah, it's in the report I'm looking at. It's in the report I'm looking at. And then there was a second television. Of course, they were all your TVs, but there was a second TV that you also punched. And then you struck her on the right side of the face with a closed fist while she was in the bed.
I never did that. I never touched her. All I did was grab my stuff and I left.
Yeah, so the bruising and redness on her face, how did that happen to be there?
I wasn't there. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Vidrine, you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole. Specifically, first is condition number 2, and it states you failed to report as directed for the months of October 23, November 23, December 23. How do you plead to violating condition number 2? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Then we have condition, it's cited as 4A. It says on or about September 30th, 23, you failed to refrain from the criminal activity by committing offense of domestic abuse, battery, child endangerment, in violation of protective orders. On January 3, 2024, you were billed in the 13th Judicial District Court under docket 13926, domestic abuse, battery, child endangerment, and violation of protective order. On March 7, 2024, you appeared before the court on a defense filed motion to quash, at which time the court passed the matter without date and dismissed the still active order of protection, which was issued on or about January 28, 2021. In docket 120226, domestic abuse, battery, child endangerment, and simple criminal damage to property less than $1,000. So, sir, how do you plead to violating that instance of condition number 4?
Not guilty.
Okay. We have then 4B, and it states on or about December 15, 2023, you failed to refrain from criminal activity by committing the offense of possession of marijuana, 14 grams or less, first offense, on January 26, 2024, in the 13th Judicial District Court. You were billed with possession of marijuana, 14 grams or less, first offense. This matter is still pending in the 13th Judicial District Court, and as of March 22nd, 2024, no court dates have been set for this offense. How do you plead to violating that instance of condition number 4?
I've been to court on that, and I pled guilty, and they gave me a ticket for $100. They found one joint in my truck.
All right, I understand, but so in terms of your parole conditions, how do you plead to violating condition number 4 as it relates to that instance?
To the marijuana?
You're not guilty. Yes.
Yeah. Guilty.
All right. Then there's 4C, and it states on or about December 15, 2023, you failed to refrain from criminal activity by committing the offense of speeding, suspended driver's license, and open container, as evident by the Evangeline Parish Sheriff's Office ticket 8905430. This matter is filed under docket 14217-T in the 13th Judicial District, and minutes from February 15, 2024 reflect arraignment is set for July 18, 2024. So how do you plead to violating that instance of condition number 4?
Guilty.
Lastly, is condition number 10. You failed to make payments as directed, and as of January 8, 2024, you are in arrears $619 towards your parole supervision. So how do you plead to violating condition number 10?
Guilty.
All right, Mr. Vidrine, your case has been assigned to me, so I'll take the lead on the interview questions. So you, how long have you been in jail on the parole hold?
6 months.
So you were detained December 19th of 20.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I reviewed all the information that was provided to us, and it looks as though on your failure to report for the months of October, November, and December, you claim you were working offshore.
Well, yes, ma'am. The oil company I had been working over a lot. They were going through Chapter 13 bankruptcy, so everything was in chaos. And when I spoke with Miss Jennifer, and she told me I had a warrant, I guess I was put in a position where they're asking me, well, we need you to stay out. I was in a financial, close to $100,000 of debt. I really didn't, know what to do. And I asked her, I said, what can you do? Advise me, what can you do to help me? And I said, well, if I take care of this, if I can get these charges dropped, she said she would speak with her supervisor to see what they could do to lift it. So, I wouldn't lose my job or anything. So that, I stayed as long as I could. And then I got a phone call saying my son was in Children's Hospital. He had to airmet him. He was in an accident. So I was in another position with that. So I was forced to come in. And then I came in from offshore.
So I do note in the record that you did speak to Ms. Artigo in October, and she told you to report later that month. She gave you a date in October. But no, in the record, I think I saw it in your preliminary hearing where you knew there were warrants out, so you just stayed offshore.
Oh, hold on. She told me that I have to report to the sheriff's department, not to probation and parole. That I was
But still, you didn't report on the date, whatever date she did
right. I
report.
was offshore.
And so let's talk about the protective order that was issued in January of 21. I do know that, later the judge dismissed it, but tell us about that.
I was on drugs real heavy, and I probably deserved what I got. I did a little bit of time over that, and I went to the program, the Stephen Hall substance abuse. I got out, I stayed, I clean, got a job. I was doing good. I didn't know that we had an active protective order because I would have took care of it. She didn't know that. We thought that it had an expiration date on that. That was, and we had an issue with child service. Somebody called child services on it, and the lady came over there and, you on parole? Yes, ma'am. She even ran us through and never said that we had any kind of restraining order, protective order, or anything like that. And I'm guessing when I did sign that, the jailer came into the judge the jail at the parish, and he put it through the guards, and he said, sign this. And that's probably what that was. I signed it and gave it back to him. And it was a protective
So
order.
you mentioned that you completed the Steve Hoyle program. Was that how long was that program?
I did 9 months.
You did the long-term program?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
remember when that was? When was that?
That was right when I was released from 22.
22, you were released in October of 22, so it was just before you were released that you did that?
I was released from Bossier City.
So let's talk about what happened on December 15th. No, I'm sorry, excuse me. September 30th, 23, the domestic abuse, child endangerment.
Uh, that morning, Bridget and the kids went to school, and Bridget went to work. And I guess she was aggravated because I came home and it was late, and she was, well, you know, when the kids get off the bus, just make sure you're there. And my son's 14, so I came home a little late, and you know, she was in bed laying down, and we went into the room and we just started arguing and was hooping and hollering at each other. The kids were outside.
Right.
And I guess they came into the house, and I went to grab me some clothes and knocked the TV off the stand and broke it. And her other son, I guess, got scared and ran outside and called the cops. And
Were you intoxicated?
ma'am,
Were you intoxicated?
no, ma'am, I was fishing. I don't. Who said I was Who said that I was intoxicated? I went to my mom's, and I called Bridget, and the officer answered, and that was not even in the report.
Yeah, it's in the report I'm looking at. It's in the report I'm looking at. And then there was a second television. Of course, they were all your TVs, but there was a second TV that you also punched. And then you struck her on the right side of the face with a closed fist while she was in the bed.
I never did that. I never touched her. All I did was grab my stuff and I left.
Yeah, so the bruising and redness on her face, how did that happen to be there?
I wasn't there. She said she did not have no bruise. She went to the sheriff's department the next day and spoke with the sheriff, and to try to get this, because it was just a misunderstanding of everything. I wasn't. You really have to speak with her about that. What happened between her and the officer? I just grabbed some clothes and left.
Okay, all right. And what's concerning to me, Mr. Vidrine, is it's also noted in the record for this particular case that there's some history of a domestic abuse.
You're right. I came from a good family. Nobody in my family has ever been in trouble. I worked offshore all my life. I just got hooked on drugs and was running wild. And
Okay.
just until I got off.
I don't need you to explain it to me. I want you to know it is noted in the record that there is a history. So I'm going to defer to my colleagues. I don't have any other questions right now. I will probably, but I'm going to ask my colleagues if they have any questions.
I just want to know, how long had you been in a relationship with Bridget?
Almost 5 years.
So you do not share any children?
We have a 14-year-old son together.
So the 14-year-old, the 13-year-old who called the 911 was not your son?
No, ma'am.
All right, that's the question.
No, I don't have any questions.
All
Can
right.
I ask you a question?
What is it?
Okay, on my paperwork, it said when we went in there, the court dismissed it, right? And they put in my paperwork to pass this matter without date. I just had a hearing. Well, I wasn't present. The lawyer didn't need me there. They had a hearing, and the hearing, they redid my paperwork, and it says, Bridget's got a copy of it, that all my charges were dismissed, and it's signed by the DA's office and the judge.
All right.
Did y'all get that?
I don't think it's in the record. I don't think I have that.
Yeah,
But
Bridget.
she can provide it for us if she wishes to do so. We're going to hear from her now. Miss Bridget, what would you like us to know?
She's on mute.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that me and Coby do have a 14-year-old child together. And this last time that he has gotten out, he actually bonded with his son and was there for him. He wasn't on drugs. He was clean. He got a job back offshore. And I find that he has grown up and took a lot of responsibility. When our son got in an accident, he did come relieve me from the hospital and stayed with him. And I guess maybe he might have issues dealing with stress or something. And maybe possibly that's why he had an open container. But this is the best this last time that I've ever seen Coby do, and actually there for his son.
So, with regard to the incident in September of last year, the police report that we have does say that you told them that he arrived at the residence and he was intoxicated, and then you heard whatever the rest of the stuff that I told Coby.
I did. And with that particular incident, that's the reason why I did go to the sheriff's department the very next day, is because I did not want to sign any type of paper or anything. And that cop told me that I had to put something on that paper.
Right.
Then he says, oh, because my son that called was not 13, he's 11. And the officer said, well, your face looks red, he hid this, that. And I'm like, he's like, hold your face up to the light. So I was like, I have nothing to hide. So I said, sure, take the picture.
Okay, I do see in the record that, you did sign an affidavit of non-prosecution. We do have that. And we do have pictures. So, anything else you'd like us to know?
No, ma'am.
All right, good. Thanks for, taking the time to talk to us this morning.
Now do I need, is there any way that I can email?
Sorry. Go ahead.
She's trying to.
Yeah, you can do it at parole board at doc.la.gov.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me,
When-
it's parole board at la.gov. We're gonna text that to you if you missed it.
Okay, thank you.
That's 1 3. 22. Okay, so I'm sorry, that's why I didn't read it.
All right, Coby, we're gonna hear from Ms. Artigo now. Ms. Artigo,
Good morning.
morning.
I just for the record, I know Coby had said earlier, I told him I would work with him if he turned himself in regards to getting him released. However, just like y'all know for the record, we take domestic abuse battery very serious. We do not release the holds. So that was incorrect from what he said, because I would never say that, because domestic abuse battery, especially child endangerment, is a very serious crime. I think it's obvious I'm against his release, and I am, for his revocation. He pled guilty to majority of the conditions. He violated his supervision. Miss Bridget may not be wanting him to get revoked. However, what he did also affected the children. The children, he stated himself, must have been scared, and they called 911. My job is probation, parole, public safety, and corrections. I attempt to rehabilitate, but in instances where people can't be rehabilitated, it's public safety. And I think he is a public safety risk to his other 3 victims, where he has charges of domestic abuse, battery, child endangerment, and their children. Their children shouldn't have to be part of that. And I feel that if he is not revoked, then another child might fall victim to his aggressive actions.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us this morning. We do appreciate it.
Thank you for the time.
Mr. Vidrine, is there a statement you'd like to say to wrap it up for us?
Yes. I mean, I would love for y'all to consider, reinstatement. I can go on my days home. I would, I can go to AA classes, or something. My family needs me. It's not gonna change. Something me and Bridget have to work on. You know what I'm saying? It's easy for the parole officer to say, "Well, just revoke him." This woman's never even been to my house since I've been on parole. They approved me to live at that address. I didn't know. I went did the proper things like I was supposed to. I gave the paperwork to the parole officer. They approved me to live there. You know, I can understand if she was doing her job, but she's never even been to my house. I saw her one time in my whole life. This is the second time I've seen her. You know, I've been doing good. I have a job. I need to catch. I was trying to catch up on things. That's my son. I'm gonna always see my son. These charges are dropped. I don't.
All right, I understand. I hear what you're saying, but, Mr. Vidrine, it has nothing to do with where you live in. I mean, I understand what you say about the protective order. You didn't know it existed.
And
But in spite of the fact that the domestic abuse charges were dropped, there's clear evidence in the record that some physical abuse occurred. So, I think we're prepared to vote. My vote, I find you guilty of violating condition number 2, the 4A instance, and 4B of that violation, as well as the arrearages. So my vote today is going to be to revoke your parole. Sorry. Mrs. Stapleton.
I vote to revoke your parole also, and you still didn't hear that parole officer clearly when you said this was between you and Bridget. It is between you and Bridget, and those children are the victims too. That's why we have child endangerment. Children are present during this time of altercation. They are terrified and they don't know that if you're going to hurt them also. So anytime you have children present, they're your victims also. So
I'm still gonna go home to my family. I mean,
but you would, but you just shouldn't be hitting on your girlfriend.
I didn't hit her. There's no proof that I hit her.
We're voting. Yes, there is. We have pictures.
Mr. Vidrine, as a third felony offender, you're very aware of the conditions of parole and supervision. And I find by the preponderance of evidence that you violated those conditions. My vote is to revoke.
That concludes our business in Avoyles. We're going to sign off at 9:06 a.m.
Oh, my parole,
Another WWE style smackdown by this all-woman panel. Plus, they had a tag team there by his parole officer, who we've seen a few times now. Isn't it just poetic justice when a wife beater has it reversed to him? Oh man, they all kind of had their one-liners in there, and he's sitting there like, no, just let me go. I'm innocent. I was just fishing. Who said I was drinking? It's like he's forgetting that most people, when they fish, drink. I mean, if you drink, right, that's kind of like it goes hand in hand. Oh, who said I was drinking? And it's there's no proof. There's no proof. And Mr. Natsa comes in there. Yeah, there is proof. We have the pictures, oh man. And what kind of guy sits there and he smashes up his TVs, he smashes it with his wife, and the children have to call the police, and just it's just a man child. Just a man child. Just why? Just don't do it. He needs more programs. He needs those anger management programs. I mean, come on. And it all starts with because she asked him to come home early, because he's so busy fishing, so he can meet the 14-year-old at the bus stop. And he's like, well, he's 14. Why would I need to get back there? So I came late, and then it's turned into a fight. And then I smashed up all our TVs, and I didn't smash it because what do you say? I was getting my shirt on and the TV fell. Yeah. And she banged into the wall and hurt herself. But and then of course we see the sad cycle where she comes in to defend him and take things back and make things up, and we see that over and over and over and over again. And it's just something that we see. I'm sure a lot of us watching this, who watching this might have been that woman in your life at one point, or might still be, or you know someone who is. And man, it is sad because, again, the victims that then, you got to stop the cycle of abuse. You have children that are growing up seeing this, and they pass it down. I don't know what his full time is. He has, Richard provided notes. He has tons of, just dozens of arrests, criminal mischief, driving suspended license, like a lot of little things. I don't know what his main underlying offense is, or how much time he's backing either. But certainly he had to be revoked. And we are going to take a blast to the past, June 10, 2022, to see a parole hearing. And then this is going to have a continuation to the future. With that, let's jump in.
This is the matter of Milligan Le Solomon, DOC number 471937. Mr. Solomon is classified as a second felony offender. His parole eligibility date is September the 13th of 2013. He has an adjusted good time date of May the 2nd of 2026. Full term date of March the 15th of 2027. He is currently serving an 18-year sentence on the charges of possession of cocaine, 2 separate counts, and distribution of marijuana, where he was adjudicated a habitual offender. The sentencing date on all 3 of these charges was September the 14th of 2009. Mr. Solomon, is this basically correct?
Yes, sir.
Solomon, your case was assigned to Ms. Pearl Wise. She will begin the process of our interview today. Would you please answer any questions she may have?
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
How's it going?
It's going all right.
Good. How long, for the record, how long you served on this sentence?
In this session, I've been in jail 13 and a half years.
13 and a half years on an 18-year sentence. Is that right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
how old are you today?
I'm 41.
41. I noticed in the record you had a hearing on January the 29th of 2019, and you were denied. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what have you done since that last hearing?
Just having a moment to myself, to have a setback in my life, to reflect on the things that I've done wrong, that I have to correct within myself, to be a better person for myself. So after the hearing, I just got myself together and strive to do better things for myself.
Okay, all right. But now, when I look at your disciplinary record since that hearing in January, you had 8 write-ups.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk to me about that.
I was still struggling with trying to hold my anger back, letting situation get to me, and me saying things that I'm not supposed to be saying, or doing things that I'm not supposed to be doing.
Okay. So your last write-up was April the 24th of 2020. So you've gotten something that you can use now to stay away from write-ups, huh?
Yes, ma'am. I had to learn that it's my action that create a bad situation for myself.
That's a hard thing to face with.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but we all, it's called maturing. You mature, you start owning what you do. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you are the father of 4 children, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How many mothers is that?
1.
It makes me smile too. Makes me smile too. What are the ages?
22, 17, 16, and 15.
Okay. So are they a motivation to you to control your anger and so you can get home to them?
Yes, ma'am. A big motivation. Big.
Oh.
I can't do it without them.
Huh?
I say it's a big motivation to me. I can't do it without them.
Oh, so you have a lot of contact with them?
Yes, ma'am. I talk to them every day.
Wonderful, wonderful. I do want to inform you as a part of this process, we reach out to the law enforcement community to get their opinion about early release. As I want you to know, there's some opposition to early release. There's nothing to do about it, but there is. But you do have a low title score. Tell me what you learned in victim awareness. You just took that in December of last year, December the 8th of 2021. What did you learn? Give me the top 3 things you learned. Don't explain it. Just tell me per se what you learned that you didn't already.
Learning that I help an individual do bad things to their family. I created that problem by me doing the things that I was doing by selling them the drug. And that was the wrong thing to do.
Okay, that's one. What else?
I learned that everybody is a victim to when it comes down to my actions of me doing things. And I learned that I'm a victim too of certain circumstances. So I had to put all that together into my life to make it all make sense to me. And it made me a better person. Learning that victim awareness was one of the real topics that touched my heart.
Because of your history, you're going to have to register as a sex offender. Are you aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a residence in place that would approve that makes that criteria?
Yes, ma'am. My mother residence.
Oh, okay, okay. Have you ever had the sex offender treatment program? Have you ever had it?
Yes, ma'am. When I had got on the charge back in the early 2000s, I went through the program.
Okay. The records I have show that your job plan is to work with your sister in her bakery. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll be doing delivery for her. She owns a catering business.
Okay. Are there any other plans for jobs beyond that?
Yes, ma'am. I have a friend. He's a supervisor on the river. He told me he'll get me on, but my main focus is to help my family first. My sister, she really needs me, so that'll be my first priority.
Do you remember why you got involved in drug dealing? Were you dealing or were you selling a boat? Were you using, or selling a boat?
Oh, I got into it because I felt abandoned by my father not there growing up and wanted to be a part of something. So went into a slump in my life, a dark place, and just wanted to be a part of something. And that was my reaction to me feeling abandoned by my father.
Oh, so you figured that out since you've been in jail, huh? You figured that out?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Taking all my self-help group programs taught me to get in touch with my inner feelings and the things that I was running from, to face them, to feel. And that's the things I've done.
Because you've been a father for 22 years.
Yes, ma'am.
That wasn't enough. Huh?
No, ma'am.
At the time, that wasn't enough. So you're gonna live with your mother and you're gonna work for your sister. That's your plan if you're successful today.
Yes, ma'am.
What have you done about your addiction?
Ma'am?
What have you done about your addiction, your drug addiction?
I have rehabilitated myself by taking living in balance. I did book 1 and book 2. I just completed, waiting on a certificate. and I learned the things that could trigger me to go back to those things. And I know how to stay away from those things that could trigger me to go back to selling drugs or doing drugs. I know how to walk away, to being a bigger person, to saying that's not for me. I need to go here because I got more responsibility going this way instead of going back down a path that I don't want to go back down anymore.
Do you participate in AA or NA meetings to consider or Celebrate Recovery, any of those?
I had did Celebrate Recovery back in 2014 at Le Solomon Correctional Center, but I never finished the program because I ended up going to another jail.
All right. Is that available where you are now?
Ma'am?
Is a Celebrate Recovery available at Wade?
No, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's all in the Living the Balance book. When you take Living the Balance, it's all in the one. It's like 4, 5 self-help groups all in the one.
Okay.
So it basically covers everything.
We do have a separate Celebrate Recovery program as well.
That's what I was thinking, Ward. I thought. They had one. You didn't know about it. You didn't know about it.
No, ma'am.
I encourage you to seek it out. But what you said about staying clean and sober, I call that white knuckle. I'm just gonna hold on. I'm just gonna fight it. But you need some tools. You need some skills to help you stay clean and sober. And you need to become aware of that. You know, you need to become aware of that there are tools to help that are proven to be successful. If you work the steps will work. It's been proven. I mean, decades they help.
Yes,
And you
ma'am.
got 10 years of education. What have you done on your education?
Well, I did the TABE test. I'm on a waiting list to get in school, so I've been waiting on that.
Okay, good. Where did you classify when you did the TABE test? How far were you? Do you remember?
No, ma'am, I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for answering my questions. Warden, what you want to share with us about Mr. Solomon?
Well, he stopped getting write-ups in 2020, which is a good thing. Whatever changed his behavior seemed to have taken hold because he's been over 2 years without a write-up. I was a little concerned about the number of rule violations for Rule 21 that he had, but his last one of those was in 2020 as well. But he's only had 17 write-ups, and he hadn't had any since 2020. So he's been participating in a significant amount of programs since that time. He's earned over 300 days of CTRP credit since 2020. So he's made his mind up to go in the right direction, and he certainly seems to have been successful in that in the last couple of years.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I have.
No, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And now, Mr. Solomon, now we're going to hear from your supporters, Miss Latasha Antoine.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Antoine, can you hear us?
Hi, good morning.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Miss Antoine. How are you? Tell us what you'd like us to know about Mr. Jackson. Mr. Solomon.
Good morning, board. How you feeling? My name is Latasha Antoine. I've been supporting Milligan Le Solomon over the past 13 years that he's been incarcerated. He's helped me raise those kids. My audio is messing up, but can y'all hear me clear?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you very well.
He has helped me support the kids throughout the years. He helped me. I'm also going to help him with employment and finances. We plan on getting married next year. Even if this work out or not, he's still my baby.
I believe that's all we have. Mr. Solomon, is there anything you'd like to say to the board before we vote?
Yeah, I would like to see that today you're looking at a changed person. I don't grow in so many ways that words can't even explain the way that I don't grow over the last 2 years. I lost a lot, still dealing with a lot because I haven't grieved properly. So I still go through some things. It's an everyday challenge, but most of all, I'm a better person. And I'm ready to go be with my family and stay out of trouble. And, you know, I'm sorry for the things that I helped in my community. Bad. I apologize. And that's something that's not in me. My mother didn't raise me like that. So I apologize for all the things that I did wrong. That's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Solomon. Appreciate your comments. Ms. Wise, you have ready to vote?
I recommend executive session to discuss confidential matters related to this case, okay?
I
second.
There's been a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Mirabal,
Yes.
and Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Solomon, we are going to take a short recess. There's been a request to go into executive session to discuss confidential matters. As soon as we finish our executive session, we'll resume our hearing. So we'll be at a brief recess. We're back in session on Mr. Milligan Solomon's case. Panel ready to vote?
Yes, I'm ready to vote.
Ms. Wise?
Mrs. Solomon, I usually don't say this in a hearing, but I retired from adult probation and parole. And I look at your cases through that lens and how you're going to perform when you get out. And it is very concerning to me. You only had 2 years where you were in compliance at the institution. You know, you know what you've been doing. And you had 4 kids at home that wanted to see you when you were in the prison doing what you were doing. That's concerning for me. But I feel inclined to take a chance on you. And I'm asking, not let them stay out this time. Get out and stay out.
Yes, ma'am.
You just listen. You're voting, you just listen with both ears. So my vote is to grant, but I want you to complete, celebrate recovery. The institution will determine what completion is, what that means. We have 9 months to hold you after you grant, if my colleagues agree on this one vote. And I want you to, if the warden would, move you up on the high set list and get you involved in education and CR. My grant, after you complete the CR program and after you work on your high set, I don't know what you can do, but work on it. And then after you're released, I want you to do AA, NA meetings 3 times a week for at least 6 months. I want you to do community service. And you can decide on that. You did a lot to the community and you know you did. And that community service can start 1 year after release because you got a lot to do. You got family to work on, but figure out something to do with community service. At least 5 hours a month, 1 year after you release. I don't want to put too much on you, but because you got your kids to get connected with. You got the sex offender registration that's going to be, over you. You have a lot to do. But that is my vote now. I'm taking a chance on you. Also, the mother of your 4 children mentioned that y'all don't get married next year. What's taking so long to get married?
It's been me prolonging, not really want to put her through the things that I was doing when I was doing wrong. Now that I'm a different person, I feel like I'm ready to be the man that she needs me to be.
Well, that's honorable. That's honorable when you do that. But go ahead and step up.
Yes, ma'am.
Got 4 kids that you got all those eyes looking. Step up and man. That is my vote, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Ms. Johnson.
All right. Mr. Solomon, I was impressed by your interview. I thought you interviewed very well. I was impressed by your insight into who you are, and I was impressed by the way you were impacted by victim awareness. I think that speaks a lot to me about the fact that you are a changed person. My vote today would be to grant
because you have good programming since your last denial, you got positive remarks from the board, you have good family support, and good transition plan, and you have a low risk assessment. So my vote would just be to bring down just one vote. But you've done well, and I expect that you're going to continue whenever you're released to be successful this time.
Thank you, Jackson. Mr. Solomon, I concur with both of my colleagues. They differed a little bit. I tend to lean towards seeing you finish the Celebrate Recovery program. I think that's important for you. You've got some excellent family support. It is very impressive that Ms. Antoine has stuck with you all these years in spite of all of the things that you've done. So you've got good family support. So I really do believe you're on the road to success. I'd just like to see you take that Celebrate Recovery program. Once you complete that program and you are released, you will have 3 AA meetings per week for at least the first 6 months. And after you've been released for a year, you'll do 5 hours of community service work per month. So you've been granted parole, but you need to finish that Celebrate Recovery program. There is a program there. I'm not sure how long it is. I'm going to ask the warden to try to get you in as soon as you can so you can complete that program. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, so it was so good to see Miss Jackson and Mr. Marabella, but sadly we didn't hear anything from Miss Jackson or really that much from Mr. Marabella. We had Miss Wise. I know some of you do love her. Now, how do you think he did? Well, we are going to fast forward almost precisely 2 years to the date. You know, like again, this hearing took place on June 10th, 2022, and now we're fast forwarding to June 6th, 2024 for a parole revocation hearing with a new parole board. In this hearing, there is a hot mic moment that lasts quite some time. So we're going to sit around and listen to it. If you want to fast forward, I totally understand. And then lastly, if you were curious about what it was, his sex crime, all we have on record is that it was aggravated oral sexual battery. He was convicted in 2003. He served just 3 years because, you know, why not? And I guess we can, it is what it is. So let's jump into this parole revocation hearing and I'll unpack it at the end.
All right, I'm going to read the allegations against you, after which I'm going to ask you to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. And then we'll have a conversation. Your case has been assigned to Mrs. Stapleton, so she'll take the lead on asking your questions in response to your plea. Joining us by Zoom this morning, I want to acknowledge we have Tanika Berryman. She's asked to speak, and when we finish with our interview, we'll ask for her input. Okay, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Solomon, you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 4. You were arrested on April 14, 2023 by the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office for aggravated battery with a dangerous weapon and misdemeanor domestic abuse battery. On October 16, the charges were not crossed. How do you plead to violating condition number 4?
You're not guilty.
Okay. Another instance of condition number 4, which reads, you were arrested while incarcerated on June 22nd, 2023 for introduction of contraband into a penal institution. Also on September 18, 2023, aggravated second-degree battery. On April 15, 2024, the introduction of contraband was reduced to a lesser offense, and you pled guilty to criminal mischief and given 3 months parish jail with credit for time served. And on December 14, 2023, the second-degree battery was not crossed. So how do you plead to violating that instance of condition number 4?
I plead not guilty to the second-degree aggravated battery because I wasn't supposed to have been charged with that. The jail requested that the DA.
So wait, hold on. So you plead not guilty to that aspect with a statement. We're gonna take your statement in a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
I get finished with the pleas first. And what about the contraband?
I plead guilty.
All right. So as I said, your case has been assigned to Mrs. Stapleton. Would you answer her questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Well, we'll go ahead with your statements about your rule violation. You plead not guilty to the first one, which was you were arrested on 4/14/23 by Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office, aggravated battery of dangerous weapon, and domestic abuse battery. So what's going on there?
Well, the allegation that was made against me was all false. My lawyer, I had a paid attorney that proven facts that Miss Latasha Antoine just stated those allegations to put me incarcerated because she was with me on my previous incarceration. So she knew how to get me back incarceration because she felt that I was cheating with her with Mrs. Berryman. So she made all the allegations to put me back incarcerated.
Well, that's very interesting because she actually ended up in the hospital and they took pictures. Both eyes and busted the top and bottom of her lip that she was struck by you. And she was at Provost Hospital and the medical staff actually called, not her to begin with, because that's by law if they think that there's domestic violence. So they involved the sheriff's office. And at that time, she refused to give any verbal statements. But it was later that she did talk about it. And that's when there was another altercation. And she said that you drove by her with a car and hit her with the car and circled around her and drug her down the street on the right side. And she ended up with bruises, scratchings, and scrapes on her right side. And you exited the vehicle and began hitting her. That also, she ended up in the hospital. So what about that?
Ma'am, that's never occurred. This female is driving away from Orleans Parish to come to Ascension Parish. If I drug you, how can I drug you when I'm on 100 and something pounds? You 200 and something pounds. It's impossible for me to even drag you. For one, my lawyer proved that could never even happen.
That based on photographs, facts, and Latasha's written and verbal statement and an arrest warrant that was submitted from Milligan Solomon for the following charges: aggravated battery, domestic abuse battery. So that's two separate occasions that the hospital took pictures of.
Yeah, one of the accidents that she is claiming that this happened on, it could never happen when I was at work. I could never harm you when I'm on the clock at work.
How did they charge you with it? I mean, you said you had an attorney, so how did you get charged?
Because my lawyer proved the fact that the allegation that was made was false. Plus, on top of that, she was contacting the DA, Craig Stewart, and telling him that I didn't do it, that she had lied to put me in here. But my lawyer was already proving facts that I can't harm you on these dates when I'm at work. I'm on the clock. I work for Donaldsonville Body and Glass. I was on the clock. I could never harm you. Then you driving from Orleans Parish that come to Ascension Parish and go straight to the hospital. You never been in contact with me personally. You driving 60 miles to come to state these allegations.
So the only thing you plead guilty to as far as your rule violation, since you were arrested on 4/14/23, aggravated battery with a dangerous weapon, domestic abuse battery, would that have been the car, the aggravated battery with a dangerous weapon?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you only plead guilty to the lesser charge, which that's a plea bargain of criminal mischief for the contraband in the prison.
Yes, ma'am. I had got caught. with some-
Second degree battery, you plead guilty to criminal mischief. That's all you plead guilty to.
Yes, ma'am. I had got caught with some cigarettes and a lighter, and they said I was supposed to have it. I know I was in the wrong for having the cigarettes and lighter, and I pled guilty to criminal mischief. The aggravated second degree battery, I was never supposed to have been charged with it. The jail did an investigation. The warden here, Sean Winchester, wrote the DA and let them know that I didn't have nothing to do with that. I was never involved. So they never even processed that charge. So they were supposed to erase that from my criminal history because I was never supposed to have been booked on that.
Well, the woman was definitely hurt, and she definitely had the bruises and the busted lip and the eyes and all of those things. So I don't have any further questions.
So, Mr. Milligan, did you have a technical violation for positive drug use in December of 2022?
Or drug use?
So in 12/2 of 2022, you had a positive drug test for alcohol use or admission. And so they reprimanded you. They verbally reprimanded you in 12/2 of 2022. You had a positive test for marijuana.
No, ma'am, that never occurred, ma'am. I got incarcerated September the 1st of 22. That I never took a drug test, anything like that. That I don't know what you're talking about right there, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Solomon, it says that you admitted to using marijuana.
To what officer? I don't recall that, ma'am. If I recall it, I would take accountability for my action.
And December 2nd, 2022. Now, you were paroled in September 1st of 2022. Is that
Yes,
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything you want to say to us, sir, Mr. Solomon, before we reach a decision?
Yes, ma'am. I would like for y'all to look into the matter that I really never did nothing. I did everything I was supposed to do with my parole officer. I never took a drug test. Everything that's going on never happened. Every time the police was called, I'm the one that called the police. I feel for my life. I have a video that I had sent to y'all showing that I had jumped out of a moving vehicle one night dealing with Natasha Antoine. I never laid hands on this person. I never. My life always was in danger. I'm the one.
Not have that video.
Ma'am?
Not have that video.
Well, Tamika Barrowman was supposed to send it to y'all along.
She's here. Well, let us speak to her now, and we'll come back to you. Okay, Ms. Berryman, is there something you'd like to say to us?
On mute. Hello.
Can hear
Okay.
you.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say that, indeed, this case, the alleged allegations of Miss Antoine, all of them was alleged because of what she thought initially, and it was all boiling down to me. You know, she made multiple threats against me online, which was paperwork that I submitted to the parole supervisor that he was supposed to send over, because I'm the one who sent over the video via email, so I'm not sure if it actually went through. But I mean, Natasha was stalking she ended up coming to my house, pulling up in my driveway one day. That's the night that he's speaking of with the video. You know, I just told him to get her from in front of the door because I'm really curious as to how you even found out where I live at, being that I'm way in Ascension Parish and you're way in Orleans Parish. I know that a person who's willing to drive over 60 miles could very well be a dangerous person, because you sat there and you contemplated and you really thought out this thought process about, you know, what type of harm that you're going to try to do. Because Ms. Antoine, prior to him getting arrested in April, I mean, we found that out that he even had a warrant is because she came in the yard to flatten his tires on his truck and she stole his license plate, which the police.
Police report? Did you
Yes,
file
I
a
filed a police report.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, I'm sorry. But a police report was filed on that incident. So now it's like you're playing around the house when the people are sleeping, you know. I'm not expecting, like, I live in a quiet neighborhood, you know. It's not any of that going on. But she also, prior to that, she also wind up calling a parole officer prior to, because they ended up coming to my job. They went to Mr. Solomon's job, they came to my job, and they also talked to his mom. And I'm guessing she figured once this didn't work out, I don't know what her motives or anything were. You know, a month later, all of this is popping up, you know. And I also submitted like all the stuff she was posting on Facebook, threatening me, threatening him, saying how she was going to basically do this, do that, do this, that, and the third, you know, how she wanted to sue insurance companies and all type of stuff, you know. She also admitted how she popped drugs and how she was going to take a ride down to Ascension Parish again to try to cause harm, you know. So this what led to me getting the protective order against her, because she's a very manipulative, malicious person, and I don't trust her at all. You know, Mr. Solomon was doing well. He had a job, just got a car, you know, staying out the way up until all of this happened because she was hurt.
Clarify, you said that you placed a protective order against the lady?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
When was the executive, the restraining or protective order? You remember?
It was sometime last year in June. It's almost cool for me to redo it. I can't remember if it was like June 10th or something like that.
That was after this arrest, right?
Ma'am?
It was after he was arrested.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for your input. Mr. Solomon, you want to complete your statement, or were you done? Were you done?
No, man, I would like to see that everything that Tanika is saying is basically like she premeditated me coming back to jail, because she posted on Facebook first before she actually done anything that she have done. I never once did anything to this female, not whatsoever. She was mad. I was with her when I got out of incarcerated, but things ain't went how it was supposed to. And me and Tanika went to getting involved, and then she found out about that, and she just went into a rage. Just went to doing all types of things, cutting my tires up on my vehicle, stealing my license plate.
Your hands on her and cause her to have a busted lip and bruises?
That never occurred in Ascension Parish at all. She drove from
all right, I've already been through that.
I'd like to go into executive session.
We have a motion and second for executive session. Can you call the roll?
Sarah.
Yes.
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 All right, Mr. Solomon, we'll be in executive session for just a few moments to discuss confidential matters. We'll be right back.
Well, we're about to go into this executive session where they're, to their credit, give a ton of research trying to find out what's going on here. It was a 26-minute executive session. I shrink it down to a fraction of that, and I'm keeping in the hot mics. We have conversations between the correction officer and Mr. Milligan, and there's also some kind of humor in the background where you can hear them yelling on the mic to get the next parolee out of bed. Let's go.
Man, what about, I mean, I already see it.
Because when God asked me that, like, no, it didn't. And then later on after that, now I'm sitting there brainstorming, wondering. But then you see enough, but the traffic about getting that traffic straight. So we got that, keeps blanking on and off.
Well, the tracker is not going to show.
No, I know that, but I'm talking just for the regular daily operation.
You know, I need to look at at the stop, so I can figure out why you're jumping. But the accident, it. The tracker doesn't show anything.
But it seems like that should also pick up stuff like that too, if you could pick up the sudden stops and all that.
Hello?
Sometimes
Uh-huh.
empty stuff, sometimes that's a good thing.
Please.
If they come back quickly, sometimes that's a problem. I'm just saying.
It's crazy because everything that's been said was lies. That's what the crazy part. Everything is lies. That's why my lawyer was able to beat it in court. It just look bad right now. How they interact, and it's, it look bad, you know?
He was transferred to Milligan 528. He must have had charges in because he did have a fugitive. What about the
Yeah, 3, when you're walking.
okay. I want him next. Okay, you have to move over after. Okay. Stations? Is that who it is?
Yeah, you said,
Station.
Nicholas.
Should have just looked that way. He was at night for that already.
Hey, Clark.
Clark.
Hey.
B600 Nicholas Stations. I need somebody to go in B600. Tell him he needs to get up, get dressed. He has a parole board hearing via Zoom.
Yeah, he already told me about it. He's already ready. He's waiting.
Okay, I'll be in there to get him shortly.
Okay, I'll let him know you're coming so he doesn't freak out.
All right, bye.
Okay.
But Mike, and here's my thing. And once again, I don't see anybody else trying to get all of this stuff straight together.
No, it seemed like he was done with whatever he was doing on Friday.
Huh?
It seemed like he was done with whatever he was going to do on Friday. His supervisor.
The Lord is my supervisor.
This is probation. This stuff.
No, this parole revocation.
Solomon, I had one question. We're still in executive session, but I wanted to clarify something. I think for your preliminary hearing, did you have, retained counsel? Did you have a lawyer?
No, ma'am, I didn't have a lawyer.
Okay, because I don't know why, but somehow or another, I made a note on my notes for today that you may have hired a lawyer. You didn't?
I had hired one, but they had an important trial going on, so they couldn't meet.
They couldn't be here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you rather wait till that your lawyer could be here? I should have asked you this at the beginning and I didn't. Or you want to go ahead and go on? We're still in our deliberations, but I wanted just to clarify that with you.
I rather gird on because I told my lawyer I think I'll be all right. That y'all will see that I'm.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and proceed. We'll come back in regular session in just a moment.
This is good up there because I when we used to have to drive me over. We used to do it at drive down that one from the port.
I'm just trying to see, like, I would ask my lawyer, how can you believe that little old me to drag you down the street?
Drag anybody down the street.
No, you can't. With one arm out the window? Like, come on now.
No, we said, well, who was in the vehicle?
Me.
So you're driving the vehicle.
I'm driving the vehicle.
I'm driving. I got you. I'm driving. But once I got grip to you, that car is pulling. So the weight of the car and along with my body and stuff can pull you because I'm not letting you go. So as the car is proceeding, that gives me more stability to be able to pull you because of the weight of the car and I'm inside the vehicle.
Right.
So that would make it possible.
Right. But I don't have your physical body. I have your clothing.
But you're still going where your clothes is going, your body gonna go where the clothes going until it tears itself out of it.
Right.
Or you can't hold on no more because it's gonna be crunching your fingernails and everything else.
Right.
So is it possible? It's possible. It's just what's believable, what can be proven.
Right.
You know, so
but my lawyer proving it that it's possible. Cause you like she every bit of about 300 pounds, every bit of all right at it.
Right, I'm saying you're saying the weight of her would
allow me not to drag you.
All right, Mr. Solomon, I apologize for the delay. We had to call another staff member down to get some confidential information. So I wanted just to, for the record, formally on the record, we are back in session. It's 9:37 a.m. We're in regular session. And I want to go over what I came to you with when we were in executive session, when I asked you about your retained counsel, your lawyer. You told me that you did hire a lawyer for today for the revocation hearing. Is that correct? Y'all are still on mute. Can you get them to unmute it?
Yes, ma'am.
So let me repeat the question so we be sure we're clear. So you did hire an attorney for today.
Yes, ma'am.
And where is he today?
She said she had trial in Baton Rouge, I think. I'm not too sure.
Not available. So I'm going to ask you again, do you want to go ahead and proceed without the lawyer today, or do you want to wait until the lawyer can be present?
I'll go ahead on and proceed.
Are you ready to proceed without your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
We are ready for our revocation decision. And I will vote first, Mr. Solomon. You pled guilty to the criminal mischief for having the contraband in the prison. Based on that information, my vote today, sir, is going to be to revoke your parole. Mrs. Stapleton.
I agree to revoke.
Ms. Lee.
And I'll also vote to revoke.
And Mr. Solomon, your parole today is being revoked. You will have the opportunity to apply for another parole hearing. And we will send you the information on how and when you'll be able to do that. Good luck to
Well, they denied. And are you surprised? Man, I mean, where do we start? So, like I said, they took almost half an hour in the executive session. Were they having a lunch break? I don't think so. I think they were trying to find if all this information lined up and maybe there was something going on and they were seeking the truth. That's what I think. And ultimately, with their decision, what they did is they took the safest, I guess, route in terms of why they said not there was nothing. They didn't revoke him because of the reasons he was locked up. They revoked him because of the charge he got while he was locked up. And one might say, whoa, 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 he has an appeal here because, it's like if you do an illegal search of a car or a home, that evidence can't be used against you to keep you locked up. But it's totally different when it comes to parole. It just doesn't work that way. You don't have those legal rights. He was locked up and he had contraband, and that's what they used against him. And they could have done it even any other way if they wanted to, because the parole contract that you sign is not written in a way that benefits the parolee at all. They're just, again, I think, trying to avoid any potential legal headache. But, the contract simply states that you cannot be involved in any criminal activity. And that is vague language because, like in this case, the DA's office dropped the charges, but we see that very often. And part of the reason why I believe we see that very often is because the DA's office knows that the parole board doesn't need a conviction. They simply need that there's any type of criminal activity. So it's easy for them to drop it and then leave it in the parole board's hands to revoke because they have the power to do that. Now, guilty, the hot mic was pretty telling to me. I think, the corrections officer did not believe him at all. He was, from my understanding of it, was basically, he's still fighting his case. Milligan started fighting his case saying, it's impossible. How could I drag her? I'm not, she's bigger than me. I can't drag her. And he's like, well, if you're in a car and you're holding her, yeah, you can drag her because you have the momentum of the car. And he's not saying, no, but I just didn't do it. He's not saying, I am innocent. This is crazy. That girl's crazy. She made it all up. Really, it was just, it's not possible. My attorney said it's not possible. So how could it be possible? And when you're taking the legal argument, well, like the correction officer said, that's just not how physics work. You kind of can. And man, I mean, it for a moment there when was it his girlfriend that started talking, and she actually did a better job, I thought, than, he should have had an attorney there, but she did a decent job. I felt that maybe she's the reason they went into the executive session for so long, because she's like, I have a restraining order. She was mad that I was messing around. She came over with the knife, taking out the tires, and was this the same woman that he has the children with that said that he'll be my baby forever, or is this a different woman? Because that was Latasha who showed up at his last parole hearing saying, oh man, he's my baby forever. And not that long later, he's revoked and she's nowhere to be seen. I don't think it was the same woman, right? For any of you women watching this and you're supporting a man in prison, I don't know. Every situation is different. and he was the mother of all his children, so I can't blame her. But look, I don't believe him for a second. I just don't. I don't. Although, it was interesting. They put up an interesting argument there, but it just, I don't know. The hot mic kind of, I think, told me what I needed to know. What do you think? Thank you, Richard, for the information, tying these hearings together. We have many more of these such hearings coming. I'm actually quite looking forward to them because I'm hoping to get more of the classic old Louisiana board into the mix through tying together these hearings. And with that, I'll let you go.